increase in pirate activity. Merchant tankers are increasingly turning to armed security to protect their businesses from piracy. The BBC security correspondent, Frank Gardner, is with a convoy being escorted by the Chinese Navy. Joins us now. It's not a great line, but we're going to attempt to speak to Frank anyway. Frank, where are you, first of all?
Good afternoon, Asma, from the glorious Gulf of Aden. I'm speaking to you from the most pirated stretch of waters in the entire world, I'm afraid, just off the Horn of Africa. We are currently steaming between the coasts of Yemen and Somalia on what's called the Internationally Recommended Transit Corridor. And we're in a convoy of several cargo ships, huge big leviathans of ships that are being escorted by a Chinese Navy frigate. And this is like a standard practice that they've got to try and protect shipping from constant pirate harassment and attacks. There was a ship that was seized just 3 days ago, very close to here. So we had a bit of a contact earlier today with what was, they believe, was a pirate mothership with 3 fast skiff speedboats attached. Now, they didn't attack us because we had the Chinese warship, but quite soon the convoy will eventually break up. Then people are on their own. And really, there's, I think, quite a difference between those people who've got armed security on board and those who haven't.
What other kind of security measures are there on board?
Right, well, there's something called best management practice, which is something that all the navies of the world that are involved in trying to protect this ocean or protect the shipping are in.
Oh dear, we seem to have lost Frank, which is understandable because it is a long way. We tried our best. We may be able to get him back at some point because that was very interesting. Oh, Frank, can you hear me?
Yeah, he's back.
I can hear you, yes. Sorry about that. I'll pick up where I left off. Coils of barbed wire around the edge of the ship, trying to keep a kind of decent distance between yourself and the pirates, speeding up if they come close. Where the armed, and it's a kind of controversial issue about having weapons on board, because some people would say, well, it's only going to make pirates more violent, but they are already violent. They carry AK-47s and RPGs. I've been speaking to a Filipino engineer who was a victim of one of these attacks, and it was pretty terrifying for him. They fired rocket-propelled grenades at the bridge, trying to make the ship stop so they could take it over and steer it towards Somalia. So having an armed team on board, the idea of that is not to shoot pirates. The idea is to shoot fire warning shots into the water ahead or to the side of their boat as they come towards it to persuade them, don't attack this vessel. Go and choose something else, or preferably don't attack at all. But it's becoming an increasingly common practice, and certainly the crew that we've spoken to on board this very big ship, some of whom have had contact with pirates before, they feel a lot safer having this armed team. They're all ex-British Royal Marine Commandos, so they know what they're doing, and they have quite strict rules of engagement.
In terms of the kind of protection that's involved, just a question that occurred to me is, it must cost quite a bit. How expensive is it?
It's very expensive. You're absolutely right. These guys don't come cheap. The security companies that have proliferated since piracy really took off in the last 3 years are making a lot of money out of this. This is a bit of a bonanza for them. There's no question about it. I'm sure the guys who come on board the ships wouldn't view it like that. For them, it's just a job. But nevertheless, it's a business. But the sort of sums of money that's being transported in terms of cargo is just huge. If you remember a few years ago, the Sirius Star was a Saudi supertanker, what's called a VLCC, a very large crude carrier, was hijacked off the Somali coast. The hull alone, the actual ship, was worth $100 million US. The cargo was worth $150 million. So you're talking about very big sums of money crossing the ocean, and 90% of the world's trade goes by sea. 20,000 ships a year go through the strait that we're going to be passing through. At any one time, I could go on with these statistics. I don't want to bore your listeners or you, but it's pretty big. And so, yes, it's expensive to protect them. And people say that piracy, somebody's done an estimate saying it costs the world shipping industry $7 billion US a year. it's something they've got to deal with. Hence Cameron's Somalia conference in London the other day, where they said, look, we've just got to sort out the problems on land. But before this line goes down, Asma, and before I kind of overuse your time, I must just paint you a little bit of a picture of the scene here. We are steaming westwards on an incredibly flat, calm sea in moonlight. There is a full moon. A few hundred yards away, there's a Chinese warship with a searchlight that's sweeping the water. The stars have come out. We can see Venus. We can see Jupiter. There are people flashing kind of semaphore signals. There are charts spread out in the bridge behind me where people are using dividers, you know, in a kind of age-old maritime way. It's a real privilege to be on a merchant ship experiencing what thousands of sailors are experiencing every day of the year.
Frank, thank you very much for that, and no apologies needed, especially for that last bit, which was truly evocative. Thank you very much. That is the BBC's security correspondent, Frank Gardner.
One quick text about that discussion about bankers' pay.